All right, welcome into another episode of the Goodman and Ryan with the Ryan and Goodman podcast. I'm sorry, I didn't get much sleep last night, Bob, so don't hold it against me. Welcome in, welcome back to everybody. We got plenty to talk about today. Bob, how about this? So I did a thing with Danny Ainge the other day. I'm doing something on the top 68 moments in NCAA tournament history. So one of those is obviously
Danny Ainge.
Right.
Yomny, 1981.
Yes. That's right. So we talked about that, but the reason I wanted to bring this up, I asked Danny Ainge whose jersey that is, thinking he would be the one guy that would probably know, with the Celtics Sixers rivalry. I know he wasn't there for the heat of it with Andrew Toney, but he had no idea. I've yet to find anybody. I've done probably, I don't know, how long have I had that up there for? A couple months?
Yeah, a couple months. Yeah. Right.
I mean, I've probably done 100 Zooms with different basketball players, coaches, whatnot. We've yet to find anybody that has out of the gates known whose jersey that is, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. You know how I feel about him. I call him the most forgotten great player in NBA history. If he hadn't gotten hurt, he's gone to the Hall.
Yep, I would agree. All right, well,
it's terrifying. He was a scary opponent.
Scary. He was. All right, so let's start.
Anyway.
Can we start with where we left off last week?
You didn't get much sleep. I did because I got so disgusted. I turned it off at the end of the third period, and it was horrible to watch.
Embarrassing.
And it's getting worse, and they're trending downward. Brad's trying different guys off the bench now and then. There's no answers, and I don't think that's personnel. We've been screaming about the kind of things that they need for a couple of years. They need that reliable scorer, professional scorer off the bench. Doesn't exist on this roster. It's not even smart. I know it's 14 games, and but we know that it has an injury problem. LA, and look at what Miami's doing now that they finally got. A healthy Butler now, and there's always, so injury, but you can only win so much depending on your nature of your team. But this is just not. It's just so remotely not. You guys have the same record. They're right in the ballpark with the Knicks now. That's how crazy it's.
They're tied with the New York Knickerbockers.
I didn't want to look. Listen, I didn't even want to look at the actual standing, and I got a real honest here. See right here, I could. And I didn't even want to look. I said, don't even give me the official bad news. Then I saw a tweet that they're tied with the Knicks.
Yeah. That was my tweet at halftime was, unless they dig themselves out of a 23-point hole, they will end tonight. They will go to sleep tonight, tied with the New York Knickerbockers. Who would have ever thought? All right, so let's do this, because I think it is time to try to figure out whose fault this is as much as anything, Bob. Whose fault? Are we putting this on Brad Stevens? Are we putting this on Danny Ainge? Are we putting this on the players? How do we do the blame game here with this?
Well, no, it is not as simple. There's no simple answer. First of all, two guys didn't play last night. One, Kemba Walker, was being withheld on back-to-backs, and Smart's been out 14 games thus far as we speak with the calf injury, with no determined return date in sight. Okay, so. We'll start with him.
Yep.
I think we're in agreement that he's a vital part of the picture. That there's always there is absolutely a limit to what they can accomplish without Marcus Smart's irreplaceable assets. The stuff that he does that doesn't compute, and the effect that he has on his team. And now the technical stuff, he can make plays, which the last night they lacked a complete, playmaker. You can't ask Jayson Tatum to suddenly become Doncic or Larry Bird. I'm sorry. We all know him to improve his game. He has broadened his game, but it's still he is who he is. Anyway, the personnel thing. As long as they're going to be stepping and starting with Kemba, and Kemba's starting to show little signs of life the last few games. But he couldn't play last night. All right, and they don't have. The point is, they're not deep enough to withstand this.
Your boy Peyton Pritchard can't step in and be the starting point guard yet.
He's going to have a long NBA career, but what level? He's not stepping in to start be a point guard. And where are you going? Semi Ojale, he's an NBA player. but he's not a difference maker.
Yeah.
You know, and on and on. And, you know,
Grant Williams, Carson Edwards, all these guys, honestly, again, if you add Kemba and Marcus Smart, at least you feel like you got a chance. But even with Kemba, with Marcus Smart, it wasn't like they were tearing the league up early here.
No. It hasn't. It's been spotty from the start this year, and that's with the all-star ascendancy of Brown, who's taken a step up to become a really terrific player.
Yep.
And Tatum continue, you know, making strides again, but
he hasn't been as good. He has not. Tatum hasn't been as consistently good. And whether it's COVID, coming back from COVID, whatnot.
Jimmy, that's the other thing. You know, I don't think he was looking for sympathy, but he was trying to give an explanation.
Yep.
He's not the same. He isn't the same since the COVID thing. Welcome to 2021. You know, and that's
part of it too. Bob is even Marcus Smart. Okay, like you get him back, you get Kemba. I don't know how much we talked about this last week, but I've said it recently. The leadership. Okay, like to me, Kemba is super quiet. He's not a vocal guy at all. Okay, Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Who have they had to learn from as far as being leaders? Kyrie? Hell no. Gordon Hayward? He doesn't say anything. He's not a leader. He doesn't want to be a leader. Kemba? Not really a leader. Marcus Smart's not really a leader. He's tough, but like he's not your leader on your team. So these two kids haven't had anybody. And at Duke, Tatum wasn't a leader. At Jaylen Brown, they were terrible at Cal. So like the last time these two led was really in high school. They're young and they don't have anybody to make their life easier, not only from a leadership standpoint, but also from a, we're going to give you easy basket standpoint.
Oh yeah. Well, in terms of the mental thing, was Thompson supposed to add a little bit to that or not?
He's a locker room guy, but again, the problem is, Tristan, if you're not in the court a lot of the time, number one, you're only on the court 20 minutes a game or whatever it is. And when you're on the court, everybody knows you're limited offensively. I love him in the locker room. Like Tristan's elite level in the locker room, but I'm talking about like a leader on the court, a guy that, you know, LeBron's obviously an easy one to use because he's LeBron, but like there's just other guys, that just have that it factor, right?
Oh.
That it factor. And we're going to get to like Utah in a minute, and we can even get there now. Because
Chris Paul apparently has it too, for sure. There's no
Chris Paul's always had it, right?
Yeah.
Chris Paul's always had it where people follow him because he's so professional in his preparation and his IQ for the game and his willingness to call people out because he walks the walk.
Yeah.
And I think Tatum and Jaylen Brown probably walk the walk, but again, they just don't know how to lead yet. They don't know because who have they had to learn from? Kyrie?
No. Meanwhile, how do you like Marcus picking up a tech in a game in which he doesn't play?
Hey, I love it. I love it. They were getting killed anyway. Like you might as well try to light a fire under these dudes.
That's like the famous Bill Sharman got thrown out of a game. He never played in a major league game, but he got thrown out of one.
Good.
We'll table that one for another day. But I know this. The natives are getting restless.
Well,
very restless.
No doubt.
And they're zeroing in on the coach.
Yep.
Which I think is wrong. But but then again, we need guys got to come up with something,
Yeah, you can't finish under 500 this year.
This is the first crisis. Right. The first year when they didn't, he could have gone 0-82. Right. First year. Absolutely could have gone 0-82 and everybody would say, okay, we see progress. Then of course the next year everything starts and now we've had nice years until now. This is a crisis. There's no question that and he does need to address it. But I just think if you're going to, I hate the word blame, the analysis. I'm just called analysis.
Yeah, you're right.
Personnel blend. The personnel, isn't up to the task right now beyond the two all-stars and an inconsistent Kemba. And now not have, at this moment, I don't mean in general, because Marcus Smart presumably will come back healthy at some point in time, be able to play to be Marcus Smart, and they'll be better off for that automatically. But I give this bench thing, is they don't have enough reliable players to withstand these.
You know who would look good on this bench, Bob? Methuen's own George Niang.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wow.
Did you see what he did the other night?
Oh, I missed that one. Tell me.
7 for 7 from 3.
Oh, 7 for 7
in like 16 minutes. He became the only player, maybe, I don't know what the term. I think the only player with fewer than 20 minutes in a game to go 7 for 7 from 3.
Wow. Good for, he's a Ryan Goodman podcast guest, and I say that's true.
Gotta get him back. He's going to have to be a repeat guest.
I've said it 1,000 times. I'm going to say 1,001. I want a guy on the bench who, when on his income tax return, puts down his occupation, registered jump shooter. Yes. Or the closest thing we can find on this earth to Lou Williams. And that's what I want to find. But they've needed this. Wow. And they don't have anybody that's going to come in and pump up offensive life into a situation.
So the Utah Jazz are now, if you haven't noticed, they're 26-6. The Utah Jazz, the team that a year ago, like now, maybe a little bit further along than now, almost a year ago, 11 months ago, was completely fractured. Like, we didn't think that Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell were going to be able to coexist. Now they're the best team record-wise in the NBA. Now, again, they beat the Lakers without Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder. Right. So it's not apples to apples.
But that's not the only team they're beating, and they beat everybody. They beat the hell out of everybody. That's the thing that gets me. It's not just that they're, it's great feather in your cap to win close games. They don't have to worry about it. They haven't had any close games too much.
It's amazing.
It's astonishing that the victory, the number of games that they've won in the stretch with double figures, by double figures is amazing. It's just one of the greatest runs I got to believe in the history of the league.
It's
like the won 68 or 69 games or 70.
I remember when George was talking to us on the pod, and we asked him about, I think you asked him about Quin Snyder.
Yeah.
And the one thing that he said about Quin that will that I won't forget is the fact that Quin will kind of hold guys accountable, right? Won't let Rudy Gobert necessarily, like he's going to make sure he puts guys in spots where they're going to be successful. He's not going to let guys do things necessarily that they want to do that aren't best for the team. I guess what I'm trying to say is he's going to put his foot down and say, no. Like, we're doing what's best for the team here, not what's best for you and your contract and whatnot. I think Quin's got some shit to him. And that's what Brad doesn't have. It is. Like, we love Brad. And I don't want to get back to Brad Stevens here. I want to get on the Utah Jazz and what makes them so good. And I think it is Quin Snyder's ability to figure out the relationship between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and really Rudy Gobert and the rest of the team. It was so fractured. Obviously, he had a key part in this. And to get this team 11 months later to do what they're doing right now is amazing. I mean, he's coach of the year, no doubt.
Oh, he better be. Right. And there's some good jobs being done, but my God, yes. Oh, absolutely. No, it's just, you can't, and I think we can safely say nobody saw this coming. You might've said, oh, they're going to be pretty good, but not this good. And now, of course, we know there's a difference between regular season greatness and postseason greatness.
Yes.
And I'm not anointing them as
Milwaukee can attest to that.
Yes, I'm not anointing them, but still, it's good. And it's a fandom. They had the nice run that was ever going. They were never going to. Well, they were in the finals 2 years in a row back in the these 80s. If Karl Malone makes a couple of free throws, I still think it changes the entire glimpse of that series.
That Stockton Malone duo, man, I miss him.
Enough to win.
I guess I miss him. It was going to the well over and over and over. It got a little repetitive at times, but it was still fun to watch because. You just had Stockton that didn't look the part at all, and the mailman who looked like he should be on the gridiron.
Oh yeah,
and their personalities were so different too. Like everything about them was so different. But yeah, Utah. Listen, I think this is a team that, again, I don't know if they could take the next step and get to an NBA final.
It'll be a huge storyline when we get to the playoffs. Okay, now we saw whatever they were going to finish at with 72 games. They're going to win 60 games. They're going to win, 58 games, whatever out of that number. And we're going to say, wasn't that nice? But now let's see what they do. That's going to be the skepticism because of our history, because we know how the league works. We know how the playoffs often work. And we've got a recent example, as you say, with Milwaukee. And we'll see if people can figure out a way to do things that they're not doing to combat them with this incredible 3-point shooting that they're displaying on a nightly basis.
Yep. No doubt. All right. So LaMelo Ball.
Oof. You got to run with the ball. I'm letting you run with it because you were.
No, I wasn't right. I was right on certain things.
Okay, well,
but I'm not taking credit for this.
You had a frame of reference. I mean, I would have to go to you and say, "Oh, tell me about LaMelo Ball."
I have. I always knew. Listen, Bob, I've said it over and over. Like his court vision and passing ability are out of this world. Out of this world. My biggest worry with him coming in was maturity, lack of effort on the defensive end, whether guys would want to play with him, because I thought he'd be, careless with the ball, throwing it all over the gym, jacking threes left and right, kind of what he did overseas when I saw him, just having fun, having too much fun instead of treating it like a business, treating it like a AAU game still. But I'll give him credit. Like, they've done a good job. Whoever's mentoring him over there in Charlotte has done a hell of a job because he's not throwing the ball all over the gym. I think ultimately this is something where his shot has gotten better already. It's not, his mechanics aren't great, but it goes in. I mean, shooting 35% from three. And over the last month, it's probably closer to 40% from three. So, and he just sees stuff and guys like playing with him. You could tell, Bob, and I've actually texted with a few players on Charlotte. They enjoy playing with him. Why? Because he wants to pass the ball and he gets them easy shots, easy lobs. He'd rather pass the ball than shoot it. And so I'm happy that I'm wrong on a lot of things with LaMelo Ball, because I just thought his father would put him in a position that he couldn't dig out quickly. It would take him 3-5 years and the right situation and the right people around him. And listen, maybe the Gordon Haywards and Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham and Miles Bridges, whoever. I didn't think this group would be that group that could get it out of him, but they have.
Speaking of Rozier, is he at the peak of his game right now? He's
been great lately. He's been great.
Huge numbers and clutch shots, and he's been because he had that wonderful run here with that team, with that Kyrie-less team, that nice run that they had, and he was tremendous. And it didn't work out when Kyrie showed up. He wasn't happy and sharing the load, but he's got his own show and he's worthy of it. I must say, I liked him, but I didn't know he was going to be this good.
Their record is better than the Celtics, Bob.
And that brings us to the other ex-Celtic.
Yes.
Who certainly seems like a happy camper, isn't he? But I got to assume, Jeff, he starts with the fact that he's a healthy camper.
Yes.
Period. Right? We never
feels more valued there.
We never had the benefit of a consistently healthy Gordon Hayward.
Right. Very true.
Not a consistently healthy one. And we had glimpses, right, including last year.
Yeah.
At this time, he was playing great.
Would you have paid him if you had to do it all over again and you're Danny Ainge? Would you have paid him? And I don't even know if he would have stayed, but would you have paid him $30 million? Is he worth $30 million for 4 years?
I don't think anybody, I think few would have. And I have to say probably not. I love you, Gordon, but I don't love you that much.
Yeah.
But damn, it's
been great. If he's healthy on this team, he might have been worth that. He might have actually been worth that in some regards, because again, what I feel like they're missing is that ball mover, that guy who's just a professional ball player who makes every right decision, doesn't force anything. That to me is what they're missing. But $30 million a year for 4 years, I might have given him $30 million a year for 2 years, but I wasn't giving him 4 years at $30 million.
Well, one thing we know, he knows how to play.
Yeah.
That you say, okay, that sounds so, you know what I'm saying? Not even some pretty noted players ultimately really know how to play in the sense that I'm speaking, but he does. He gets it. I'm a little frustrated, that it didn't work out. Now that we see what he's really capable of again, he hasn't been able to do this back in his Utah days. The reason why you went after him in the first place.
It's too bad because it's not like he's the guy in Charlotte. He's still got, like you said, Terry Rozier, LaMelo. There's still enough other dudes there, but I think he just feels probably a little more valued, maybe.
Oh, he totally does, and I didn't see this. We didn't see this in him or hear this from him at all. But now he's being on. I guess he's being honest about it. He wanted, I won't say his own show, but a different role and a more prominent role. Put it that way. And he's right now. I'm sure he's a very happy man. I hope he stays healthy. I hope this isn't. I want him to be happy. I hope he stays healthy now. I hope he does. But funny things.
The All-Star game reserves came out, Bob,
yes.
And I know how much you love the word snub. So we're gonna we won't call it snubs. We will not call it snubs. But how upset were you that Trae Young in his 30 points a game or whatever it is, 28 and 10, did not make it into the All-Star?
I find it. We've seen some of him explode in the Boston Celtics face a few times, including last night. I was surprised. I just thought he was a given. To me, it was a no-brainer. I thought he was a no-brainer.
I just wonder how much. I feel like, and I've known Trae a long, long time. Okay, I've known him since he was probably 15 years old, and you just wonder how much. I don't even know, lack of defense. Like, he doesn't play defense, but a lot of guys don't play defense, and they're playing in the All-Star. I mean, James Harden
this year. All bets are off this year, right now. Seriously.
So I don't think it's that. Obviously, Atlanta hasn't won at a high level. I'm not even sure it's that either. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like people don't love the way Trae Young kind of acts and maybe a little bit of the arrogance that he shows on the court, and that maybe hurts him a little bit. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Maybe it does. I don't see that too. But I don't see him all that. I mean, I've seen him throw 4 or 5 times this year.
Yeah.
I don't see that. But boy, I just never.
He's so talented.
He's really something. I mean, he's really, really good. And I love the mixture of his game. And in addition to the first thing you think of is, 3 feet behind the arc. Last night, he put on a little
display.
Floater display, if you will, he can go to the hoop. He's got an in-between game. He's got the whole offensive individual package, and he can pass the ball.
You know who else didn't make it? That I know you. This is the one that upsets you, Sabonis. Right?
Yeah. That one, because I'm definitely a regional.
Sabonis, Bam Adebayo. Those are two that I love both their games. They're very similar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they both play hard as heck. They rebound at a high level. They can defend. They just go hard all the time. Big, strong, athletic. Whatever you want, 4 or 5s, whatever you want to call them.
But you're right. I hate the verb snub. It's not a snub. There's tough decisions. It's always what sport you're talking about. It comes down to tough decisions, and it actually, in terms of star power, the East is deeper than you would have thought. Maybe given that these excellent players are not on the team,
right?
But it's supposed to be the junior varsity conference, so compared to the West. So I don't know. I'm not outraged. I'm not working up a big ladder. Number one, because I'm not so sure the game should even be played, and I'm really getting more and more down on the idea as we get near it, and I just which will lead us to the whole thing about they put out the second half schedule. You might as well get to that, But,
no doubt.
Because it's people are going to wind up with 4 and 5s, and it's going to be some awful things going on at the end of the season. The quest to play 72, I think, was a mistake, and I really think they're going to regret it. And I don't know. By the way, the one oddity, there's going to be a day when, on May 16th, when if it COVID, willing, if you will, every Major League Baseball and every NBA team will be in action. First time in the history of America.
Really? May 16th?
May 16th. At first, if it comes to pass.
The only thing I'll say about that, Bob, is if it's 70 degrees on May 16th, I will not be inside watching games. I don't know about you.
No, I don't know. I can't even project that, anything, but
I can't project either. I'm praying. I'm praying the snow will be melted by May 16th. At this rate, who knows? So 3 weeks from today, I will be in Indianapolis.
Oh,
I will be watching the first four in Indianapolis. How about that?
yeah. Well, first of all, I'm glad to hear that you'll be able to see some games in person. I know you're going to take the proper precautions. First of all, I hate the first four.
I do too.
I hate
do
the first four. There was nothing wrong with a 64 team tournament. Right. We know why it's a 68 team tournament. The greedy power conferences, greedy power conferences created this. We don't need a first four. Well, we got a first four. It's a 68 team tournament, and it's not going away. Nope. Well, it's creeping up on us though. 3 weeks is, So Selection Sunday is a week from Sunday. So it's the 14th.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from Sunday. We have tonight.
21st. Yeah.
Tonight, Bob. We have Horizon League tournament action starting tonight. Yes.
That one escaped my notice.
The big Detroit Bobby Morris game. Robert Morris.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Detroit and Mike Davis. So pay attention to that one. No, America East starts tomorrow. So all these think about this, right? 2 weeks from Sunday is Selection Sunday. It's done. Like all the regular season is done 2 weeks from Sunday. It's kind of unfathomable in a way. Now, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here in the next 2 weeks. Like Baylor just came back from a 3-week pause and looked terrible against Iowa State. But the timing was probably right in a sense, because if a tournament team gets hit in, let's say, a week or two, right? Let's say a week or two.
All right.
It's really going to affect, like Baylor got hit hard with COVID, like their players got hit, their coaches got hit. So timing is going to be essential here coming up in like a week and 2 weeks, any team that gets hit. And I talked to Dan Gavitt a while ago, and basically I asked him, I said, hey, if somebody gets hit with COVID at the tournament, what happens? And he was like, listen, we're not stopping this thing. Life goes on. Life goes on. The big question will be if a player gets hit. And Mark Few, so I talked to Mark Few about this the other day. I said, what's the biggest concern? He said, the biggest concern for me and a lot of coaches is if somebody tests positive for COVID, but they have no symptoms.
Oh.
He feels like they should be allowed to play asymptomatic. That's how he feels. He's saying to himself, listen, the rate of kids that age getting really sick is so minimal. If they're asymptomatic, they should be allowed to play. And
that's not likely to happen. I don't think.
Not going to happen, right? No. It's not going to happen. No. So there's no sense talking about it. But ultimately, listen, Duke is creeping back into the picture. If you haven't noticed,
I have. And Jaylen Johnson too. I don't know if there's a cause and effect there, folks.
There is. Jay Billis doesn't want to admit it. He's kind of fought on this but they are better without Jaylen Johnson. They're better. They're not more talented, obviously, but that doesn't mean anything. That you can be better because you're locked in. You're playing as a unit. You're just playing with better chemistry. And Jaylen Johnson, from me talking to several people within that Duke program, and not coaches, like other people in that program, the big thing was, again, he was a distraction because he was never completely bought in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure anybody, when that happens, people know. They can
right.
tell.
Right. So like they are better. Now, again, is Duke a great team? No, but it'd be more fun to have them like as a 6 seed. I mean, or an 11 seed in like the 6-11 game, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking about like Duke is the major underdog. Michigan State maybe in the first 4. Like those will be fun. Yeah, like I actually think that could be just unique. Different. Kentucky could win the SEC tournament, Bob.
And they really could, couldn't they? I mean, you're not just thinking at some wild, far-fetched theoretical.
Arkansas just beat Alabama last night. Alabama's not that great. They're good. The SEC is not very good. It's not. The ACC and the SEC, not very good at all. Virginia's lost 3 in a row, Bob.
I say their vulnerability suddenly is shown. Yes,
they haven't beaten anybody. Their best win all year is at Clemson.
Oh, jeez.
Haven't beaten anybody. So, it's really Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, and then kind of throw everybody. Like if Ohio State's the 4th best team in the country or 5th best team, it says something, because Ohio State does not have probably an NBA player on the roster. Chris Holtmann has done an incredible job with them. Incredible. But there's a big gap to me after the top 3. Michigan has established itself as, to me, now they play tonight. They play Iowa at home. So, we'll see what they got. But they've been Juwan Howard. Listen, we could talk about this, Bob. I don't know how much you knew Juwan Howard or the people around him over the years, but man, he is so impressive, Bob. Like all the coaches that have the former NBA players with $50+ million in their bank account that have failed coaching college basketball, from Clyde Drexler to Terry Porter to Chris Mullen to, I think Patrick Ewing's probably going down that path, and so is Jerry Stackhouse. This guy has blown me away. I didn't think it was a good hire. I kind of said it. Now, I thought maybe he'd get some help from his boys, Jalen Rose and Chris Webber, that they'd help get him some players.
Yeah.
Man, this guy has just blown me away. Everything about Juwan Howard, everything.
He got my attention early on in his pro career, when he did those PSAs about reading, urging kids to read.
Yep.
This because I didn't know, I didn't know anything about it. The guy I knew something about was Jalen Rose, based because of his father. Yep. Jimmy Walker. Right. But I didn't personally, I knew a little bit about him, but I didn't know about what kind of a person Juwan Howard was, so yeah.
Never hear a bad word about him. Never.
And then, of course, the career he had, the lengthy career he had, the respect that he accrued over the course of time in the NBA. But I was skeptical because you mentioned those names, the litany of failures of pro guys propping themselves into the college world and not being able to get it done for whatever reason, and is so long. So why would I think that he was going to be any different? Maybe. And so it's only this year 2, but oh boy, do we have some rather impressive early returns. I could see that. I love that team, but I like a lot of teams that I watch them this year. That I'm really looking forward to tonight as we speak will be Iowa Michigan game, and on any given night between Garza and I call him Wiesbaden, Bohannon and those guys.
What about the Garza Hunter Dickinson, the freshman?
Oh, I'm looking for I'm on the Hunter Dickinson bandwagon now.
Right.
I'm definitely on the Hunter Dickinson bandwagon. I tweeted the other day, he was fast forwarded from 1965. He should have been playing with Caddy and Oliver Darden, And somebody came back and said, where would Bill Button play? And I said, behind Dickinson.
That's pretty good. Yeah, listen. All right. So before we go, we can't finish this podcast without talking a minute or two about Boston College basketball and the opening at BC. Who does Robert Ryan want to be the next Boston College Eagles men's basketball coach?
What I hear, he's up for the job. I mean, he's up for it in terms of qualifications, and that is Howard Isley. And
he is in the mix.
That would please me. I don't have enough frame of reference to evaluate some of the, other people, but I do know, that I've always, I think Howard Isley is certainly be nice to have. Quite frankly, I think it'd be to their best interest to hire a black coach. Yeah. And I, this goes way back because we had Al Skinner. But I remember thinking Mike Jarvis, I think, would have crawled over glass to get that job at times, I think. In his time.
You don't want to hire Rick Pitino now?
No.
What about Richard Pitino? He might be fired at Minnesota. You might be able to get Richard Pitino.
I'm not in a rush to go cop a Pitino. No offense, but the point is that the program is in shambles. Okay, they're in shambles. The numbers are so embarrassing of the last several years in the league, and they're just they're an automatic night off for people, and does it have to be that way? I'm asking you, have things changed that much since the era of since a 20-year? Actually, was from the time Dr. Tom came in '81, and they're going to a Final 8 against Houston, through Jimmy O'Brien winning an NCAA tournament, winning a Big East tournament, and going into the tournament, through Al Skinner's multiple appearances in the tournament, and one of the very best teams in BC history, 05, 06. Has things changed that much that BC can't be respected?
No, in fact, I would suffice it to say, Bob, that they've gone the other way. Where look at Baylor right now as the number 2 team in the country. Look at Gonzaga as the number 1 team in the country. To me, it's about veteran teams and experience. So that should help Boston College be more competitive with the Kentuckys and the Dukes and the Carolinas and those programs. And again, you got a lot of these coaches that are getting a little bit older, Coach K and Roy and Leonard Hamilton and Jim Larinaga in the league, in the ACC. To me, again, you and I were on the same page, and people crush us for it. And we'll go after this thought. People crush us for the fact that we both said the Al Skinner, his time was over at that point. The program was going like this.
Yep.
And everybody crushes us for it and says, well, look at what you guys got. We never should have fired Al Skinner. That wasn't the problem. The problem was who they hired.
Yeah.
And they hired Steve Donahue and Jim Christian. To me, that was the bigger problem. So, all right, we'll pick up on that next week. Ryan and Goodman podcast, another episode. Make sure you join us next week because we will have a lot more. We'll try to bring on a guest. Maybe we'll try to convince George Niang to join us for a repeat appearance. So there you have it. Again, thanks for joining us.